friends, and welcome to the next edition of CarpFishing.Tips. Please like our Facebook page, subscribe to our YouTube, follow us on Twitter, or follow us on Instagram. Those are the 3-4 channels you can find us on. So our fishing apps were telling us that the fishing was going to be good in the afternoon on this day. We had some wind from the southeast, and to be honest, I don't know how accurate these things are. They're not bad. This is one of the mili bombs. It's got 2 fake pieces of corn, 2 mili corn, and some Vitara bowl dip. On this one we put some banjo. It's got 2 fake pieces of corn, and it's also got some mili flavored milis on it. The day started out pretty average. As you can hear, there's a lot of wind, and as you can see, the camera is not holding up too well. It's bouncing around in the wind. So normally carp fishing is supposed to be pretty uneventful, besides you catching a couple of fish now and again. This is pretty much what you should be seeing. A little bit more of a tidy setup, some people might say. But on this particular day, as per our tagline, we're just 2 idiots and a rod, or a couple of rods in this case. We cast out the 2 yellow rods straight ahead, and the 1 black rod off into the margins right along the bank further down. We didn't have anyone along the bank next to us, so we could fish quite freely. As I say, sitting there for about an hour or 2, no activity. Saw a few fish come up here and there, a few bubbles, but nothing really to write home about. No one was really catching any fish. It was a fairly quiet day on the bank. I feel like the fish lulled me into a false sense of security, but hey, you'll see from the teaser, you can see what basically happened. I was fishing very nicely, just taking it easy. I did rebait, obviously, 2 or 3 times over the 2-3 hours I was there. There was also a wedding going on, so I had some spectators watching me fish from the other side of the bank to the left of the screen. I'll show you a picture in a moment. Maybe the fish just decided they needed some action. The people at the wedding clearly were not having enough fun, so I got roped into being the entertainment for their day. So as you can see, I was busy rebaiting the one spot. I'd started to cast a bit closer to the bank as time was going on. The fish started to come closer and closer and closer to the bank. So I thought, well, let me try bringing my rigs close to the bank. And as that happened, the rod goes right into the water. So my first thought was, well, now what do? So this time I jumped in head feet into the water. As you can hear, the wedding reception on the left hand side's having a good laugh at me in the water. A word to the wise, I still had the fish on, so that's quite exciting. I managed to hook the fish pretty well in the bottom of the mouth. And so word to the wise, if your rod falls in the water, don't do what I've done and get your and go in head first rather go in foot first. because I've done that before. Yeah, so this is me trying to reel this fish in. The reel that I have on this is so battered and bashed. I actually need to get a replacement. I'm battling to reel the line in at the same time. So how I actually got this fish in on this rod, I don't know. I actually have no idea. It's a bit of a Frankenstein setup. It's a bass rod with a spinning reel with a really cheap Chinese spinning reel attached to it with this really thick braid. Also from the Chinese market we have here in South Africa in the south of Joburg. And yeah, I think the drag was set too tight, and I also think that the line is too thick for the eyelets, so it doesn't go through smoothly. As you can see, I decided I'd go and fetch the other rod and put that in the rod stand before I lose that rod as well, just in case, because it has happened before where I've got two fish on at the same time. I don't know if you call that a double up though, when it's your own rods. And in my infinite wisdom, I'd forgotten to bring the net and the unhooking mat out of the car. So at this point, you'll see me standing there and I'm a little bit confused because the fish actually looks really big. And I'm sitting here going, I can't reach down and get the fish because of the distance, because of the height of the bank in relation to the water. But there's no one to get the mat and the net out of the car. So thinking on my feet, I decided what I would do is I would spool out line. And you haven't seen it yet. I haven't gotten there yet on this, but yeah, as I was saying, just have to laugh at the fact that I'm looking at this and just going, what am I gonna do? How am I gonna? So I think, well, maybe I should put the rod down, you know, hook up the fish, put the rod in the ground, you know, with a spike. I give up here because all I'm thinking is this rod's going to go back into the water and I'm going to lose the fish and the rod. So I finally realize probably the best way for me to do this is to spool out line, because my car's directly behind the camera. I'm probably about 5 meters, not even, from the car. So I'm spooling out line and going to my car to go and get the unhooking mat and the net. Needless to say, this fish wasn't a giant. It wasn't huge. I mean, it's 4 kilos, so about 9 pounds. But it actually ended up bending my net. You know, I've got one of those telescopic nets, and when I pulled him out of the water, I didn't realize that he was so heavy. He bent that the pole would actually bend. It wouldn't be able to lift his weight. But yeah, so here I'm trying to get my situation sorted. The rod's in between my legs. Who would have thought that? Well, it's not even in between my legs. I actually put it down like a crazy person. So as you can see, I'm extending out the net. I'm also starting to get worried because the fish has been on the line already, you know, I don't know, about 5 minutes. You know, I want to get him out and get him unhooked and put him back. So I finally managed to put him into the fishing net, And as you can see, as I'm lifting it, the rod actually, that's where the rod actually bent. So the rod actually, not the rod, the telescopic rod of the net actually buckled under the weight. I'm surprised at 4 kilos, but hey, that's the entertaining part of the story, guys. Like I say, carp fishing tip for this video is make sure your drag set, as light as you can while still being able to strike on the fish. So at this point, I'm just putting the fish with the net back in the water, because I need to open the mat. The fish is too big for the mat that's been folded in quarters, so I need to open it as much as I can, because I actually didn't realize how big this fish was. I mean, I thought it was big, but when I actually got him out of the water, he was actually really, really, really big. Really, really nice sized fish. And there you go. That's the little beauty. 4 kilos, a bent rod, a bent telescopic net rod, and a wet rod and reel. But an awesome little catch in the margins, right against the side of the bank. Gave a good little fight. Had to get wet in order to catch him, but hey, you know what? There's worse things that can happen. Yeah, so that's the damage that little common did to my rod, to my telescopic fishing net. And that's just proof positive of the wetting that was going on the left-hand side of where I was fishing. People were actually standing right under the second willow tree from the left, and they were talking and mingling there, and when they saw me, they just couldn't believe it. They were laughing for a good couple of minutes. Anyway, guys, that's our spring carp fishing excursion. We hope you enjoyed it. Please like and subscribe, and share with your carpy friends.